Well, we finally made it through all of the other live action movies. Now we arrive to this one. Transformers 1 is a brand new 2024 animated action film directed by Josh Cooley, starring Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry. And I'm going to be honest, I really wasn't excited for this movie. When all the trailers started coming out, I thought it just looked like they were putting a bunch of lame humor into it and just marketing it towards children and the younger Gen Z crowd. Yeah, I didn't really have much hope for this, but I am so glad I actually went to go see it because it was nothing like it was marketed. This marketing team needs to be fired because, wow. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. Starting off with the good, and there is so much to love here. First of all, you get a fantastic voice cast. First of all, you get Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax, who eventually becomes Optimus Prime. And I know a lot of people were very bummed that Peter Cullen didn't return to voice Optimus in this movie, myself included at first. But when you look at when this movie's set, this is a young Optimus, like very, very young. This is pre-Optimus, actually, for most of the movie. And Peter Cullen is in his 80s. So I feel like getting a younger voice actor to voice this version of Optimus at this point in his life, it was the right call. As much as I love Peter Cullen, this was the right call. And Chris Hemsworth really delivers here. At first, I was like, okay, is this just going to be a Chris Pratt as Mario situation where he's not exactly trying, but I'm so glad it wasn't because Chris Hemsworth really puts his all into this voice, especially by the end when he becomes Optimus Prime. His Thor voice really works for a young, hopeful Optimus Prime. So, yeah, I really liked him here. Up next, you get Megatron or D16, voiced by Brian Tyree Henry, and this is the one that really steals the show for me. I'm a fan of Brian Tyree Henry. I have loved him in everything I've seen him in. And Megatron is, like I have said before, top 3 or 4 villains of all time for me. So seeing him as a pre-Megatron, how he becomes such a ruthless character, it was a really, really interesting exploration of Megatron's origins. And I have stated on my social media before, this movie is a better Megatron origin story than both of the Joker movies were a Joker origin story. That it's just funny how things work out. Yeah, I loved the Megatron origin story here. Then you get Scarlett Johansson as Alita 1, and she's pretty good as well. Nowhere near as fantastic as Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry were, but she still works as this character. I really enjoyed her performance. She had really good chemistry with Chris Hemsworth. And then you have John Hamm as Sentinel Prime, and he's the antagonist of this movie. And I really liked him as Sentinel Prime. Now, obviously, he's not going to beat Leonard Nimoy as Sentinel Prime from Dark of the Moon, but he still did a really good job as Sentinel Prime, as this very egocentric dictator type character who has Cybertron under his thumb, and he has fooled everybody into thinking that he cares about them. Tell me what that sounds like in real life. But yeah, I really liked Sentinel Prime in this movie. I thought he was a great villain. And one more I really want to talk about, and this is really mainly a voice cameo, but whoever made the decision to cast Steve Buscemi as the voice of Starscream, that person deserves a raise. That person needs to cast everything because that is one of the most genius castings I have ever seen. Like I said, Starscream is mainly just a cameo along with the rest of the Decepticons, but he's such a great casting. And I love the mini origin of why his voice is so scratchy. Just a fun little moment in the movie. Aside from the characters, I really love the story here. Like I said, this is an origin story for both Optimus Prime and Megatron. They start out as best friends, they work in the same area, and they go everywhere together. They do everything together. And seeing them explore Cybertron and go on this quest to find the Matrix of Leadership, it's just a really great thing seeing these two characters interact, and very, very heartbreaking when they finally fall out by the end of the movie. And the quest here is a lot of fun. You get a lot of fun action sequences, and you get a lot of fun humor in this movie as well, which is something I was very worried about in this movie because, like I said, the marketing for this movie made the humor look stupid. It made it look lame. And I'm so glad I was wrong about this, because this is the funniest Transformers has been and the least annoying the humor in Transformers has been. So I really loved seeing that. And you get some really great world building, some really great exposition. You see all the primes and you see all their abilities, how they were betrayed, how they fell. And it's just a fantastic look at Cybertron's past before the Great War between the Autobots and Decepticons. Yeah, I just really hope that this movie somehow picks up sequels, because I just want more from this particular Transformers franchise. Also, the score is fantastic. The soundtrack's really good. And the animation style really works for me. It's kind of G1 Transformers put into 3D animation by the end of the movie, and I just really like that. But that's about all for the good. On to the bad, and this isn't even really bad because it improves by the end, but it took a little bit of warming up for me to enjoy Keegan-Michael Key as B, or who would become known as Bumblebee. I love Keegan-Michael Key, but his first few scenes were a little bit too much on the humor side. But like I said, he vastly improves by the end of the movie, so I can't really call this a bad thing. It's just one thing I had to talk about. But that's about all for the bad. On to the final thoughts. I absolutely love this movie. I am very heartbroken that this did not do better in the box office. I'm very heartbroken that I never got a chance to see it a second time in the theater, but money's tight right now, so what happens, happens. But yeah, love this movie to death. Transformers 1 is probably my favorite Transformers movie. I was highly surprised by it, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Transformers 1. Have you seen this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it if you have seen it. And if you haven't seen it, please go out to support it. It really deserves it. But either way, as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.